Noah Brown's journey from the deep, rugged woods of Alaska to a life that still captures public fascination is one marked by transformation, perseverance, and quiet strength. He carries within him the countless memories of his family's wilderness life, memories that shaped his character, his outlook, and his dreams, even as he forges ahead to build a future uniquely his own. In this expanded look into his story, we'll explore who Noah Brown truly is, the defining moments of his life, and the latest updates surrounding his ever-evolving path. When people talk about Noah Brown today and wonder why his name has once again made its way into the headlines, it becomes clear that his journey has never been about fame or controversy. It's about steady growth. His story reaches back to the frozen lands of Alaska, where the Brown family first made their mark, piece by piece. Noah's life unfolds as a portrait of Chanja, a young boy growing from the eccentric son of a wilderness dreamer into a husband, father, and builder, carving his own future far away from the bright glare of television lights. Born on July 18, 1992, deep in the heart of Alaska, Noah Darkcloud Brown entered the world as one of 7 children of Billy and Amy Brown, alongside his brothers Matthew, Joshua, Solomon, and Gabriel, and his sisters, Amora and Mary. Noah was raised in an environment that most people could scarcely imagine. The Brown children grew up in handmade cabins, survived on what they could hunt or fish, and endured winters so harsh that they would test even the toughest spirits from the beginning. Billy Brown's vision was to raise his family beyond the grip of modern society. For Noah, that meant growing up not in classrooms or crowded neighborhoods, but among towering spruce trees and frozen rivers. His world was shaped by nature's extremes, where survival was not a show, it was a way of life. But in May 2014, everything changed when the Discovery Channel aired Alaskan Bush People. Suddenly, the Browns, known as the Wolf Pack, became household names. While skeptics debated the authenticity of the show, one thing stood out: the individuality of each family member. Among them, Noah immediately stood apart, where his brothers took 2 axes, rifles, and the demanding physical labor of bush life. Noah's mind worked differently. He was the dreamer, the thinkerer. While others built fires, he built contraptions. Using scraps of metal, wires, and imagination, he created homemade gadgets and machines that sometimes looked odd but surprisingly worked. He dreamed of building water-powered generators and devices that could make life a little easier in the unforgiving Alaskan wild. Fans were divided. Some admired his brilliance, while others saw him as peculiar, but everyone agreed he was unforgettable. Life in the bush was not only a test of endurance, but of heart. In 2017, the Brown family faced one of their darkest chapters when matriarch Amy Brown was diagnosed with lung cancer. The news forced them to leave Alaska for Washington State so she could receive treatment. For the first time, the family had to face the modern world head in hospitals, medical bills, and the uncertainty of survival in a different sense. During this time, Noah's quiet loyalty came to light. He stayed close to his mother, offering the kind of gentle devotion that revealed the depth of his love. When Amy entered remission, fans around the world celebrated, and for Noah, it was a reminder that true survival isn't just about braving the wilderness. It's about protecting the people who make life worth living. Amid these challenges, Noah's own life began to blossom. In August 2018, he married Rain Alicia, a woman whose arrival brought both joy and controversy. Some welcomed her warmly, while others viewed her as an outsider. Their wedding in Idaho marked a turning point for Noah, symbolizing his transition into adulthood and independence. The couple's joy grew with the birth of their first son, Elijah, in February 2019, followed by their second child, Adam. In 2021, once the eccentric tinkerer, Noah now found himself in the deeply human role of a father, protective, patient, and purposeful. He often spoke about wanting to give his children the stability he never had growing up in isolation. But tragedy soon returned to the Brown family. In February 2021, Billy Brown, the family patriarch and dreamer, who had inspired their life in the wild, passed away after suffering a seizure at their Washington ranch. The loss was devastating, marking the end of an era. For Noah, it meant losing not just a father, but the man whose vision had shaped his entire identity. In the aftermath, the family's unity was tested. Noah, ever introspective, withdrew from public drama to focus on his wife and children. He began carving out a quieter existence, still rooted in hard work and self-reliance, but tempered with love, stability, and purpose. Recent years have seen Noah Brown in the headlines again, but this time for all the right reasons. He has been quietly working on his homestead, determined to build a place that honors his roots while embracing modern comforts. His goal isn't to reject the bush life or replicate it entirely. Instead, seeks balance, a home where his children can grow strong and self-sufficient, but still have access to safety and care. This thoughtful balance has captivated fans who see Noah as a bridge between two generations, the rugged dream of Billy Brown, and the practical wisdom of a new era. True to his character, Noah hasn't chased fame. Instead, he has shared glimpses of his life hauling building materials, working on solar panels and using his inventive mind to make his homestead functional and sustainable. Every project seems to reflect who he is, the same boy who once built machines in the snowy Alaskan woods, now crafting innovations for his wife and sons. Each place he's lived, Alaska, Idaho, Washington, represents a chapter of his life: resilience, love, loss, and renewal. In many ways, Noah's story mirrors the journey of growing up itself, from the innocence of youth to the responsibilities of parenthood. From surviving for survival's sake to building something meaningful and lasting, his story resonates with those who watched Alaskan Bush People from the beginning, as they've witnessed his evolution in real time. Today, Noah's name is synonymous not with controversy, but with growth, maturity, and legacy. After Billy's death, Noah began writing his own chapter, a story defined not by wilderness isolation, but by grounded ambition. He has been carefully walking the line between two worlds: the free, untamed life his parents cherished and the secure, loving home he envisions for his family. After moving to Washington State for Amy's treatment, the Browns settled in the rugged North Cascades, where Noah took on the challenge of building a home for Rain that wasn't just shelter, but a place of growth. While some of his siblings clung to the family's old ways, Noah sought progress and innovation. Family tensions occasionally surfaced, especially surrounding Rain's place within the clan, but Noah stood by her, choosing love and privacy over publicity. Over time, he began sharing glimpses of his family life, photos of Elijah and Adam, reflections on fatherhood, and thoughts about raising children who understand both wilderness and community. By 2022, his journey had come full circle as he began exploring a return to Alaska. Wanting to reconnect with the land of his childhood while redefining what it means to live off the grid, his dream wasn't to replicate his past, but to transform it into something newer: legacy of balance, wisdom, and heart in his latest endeavors. Noah continues to embrace his inventive spirit, working on renewable energy projects and self-sufficient living systems. Fans who once viewed him as the quirky genius now see him as a man of purpose, a husband and father, building a tangible legacy. Though he occasionally appears at community events, he prefers a life of quiet progress over celebrity spotlight. Ultimately, Noah Brown's story is not just about surviving the wilderness, it's about growing beyond it. It's the story of a man who has lived through isolation, illness, love, loss, and rebirth, and has emerged as a symbol of what it means to build something real in a world that often chases illusion. His journey reminds us that true strength doesn't always roar from the mountains. It sometimes builds quietly, in the heart of a man devoted to his family and his future. Noah Brown's approach to life has taken on a new balance, one that recognizes that family needs both independence and connection to truly thrive. This shift in his outlook hasn't gone unnoticed. Fans who once saw him as the quirky or eccentric member of the Alaskan Bush People clan now view him differently. They see steadiness, maturity, and a man growing into his own. Over time, Noah has become something of a symbol for personal evolution, proof that even a reality TV personality, often shaped by selective editing, can rise above the caricature and reveal a genuine, ongoing life journey. The media's coverage of him has softened too. Instead of focusing on sensational headlines or tabloid drama, stories about Noah now highlight his quiet transformation, showing a man learning to balance tradition with change in a world that's constantly shifting around him. Part of the renewed interest in Noah's life also stems from the uncertainty surrounding the future of Alaskan Bush People itself. With the passing of family patriarch Billy Brown and the siblings now following different paths, fans have been left wondering what comes next for the Brown legacy. In these discussions, Noah's name often surfaces as a central figure, someone who could either carry forward the original spirit of the Bush dream or redefine it for a new era. The geography of Noah's story tells its own tale. His journey from Alaska's untamed forests to the calmer landscapes of Idaho, where he married, then to Washington, where tragedy struck, and now back toward the northern wilderness where he seeks new land, all mark distinct chapters of his life. Each place holds symbolic meaning. Alaska represents resilience. Idaho embodies love. Washington speaks of loss and rebuilding. And his future homestead represents legacy and renewal. Now in his 30s, Noah stands as a husband and father, trying to provide for his family while navigating grief, family tensions, and the demands of modern life. These are universal struggles, ones that millions of people face in their own ways. Perhaps that's why Noah's story continues to resonate. His presence in the media is no longer about spectacle, it's about identification. Fans who met him over a decade ago now see in his life echoes of their own journeys through adulthood, parenthood, and responsibility. What makes Noah stand out is that he has never abandoned the quiet gentleness that's always defined him. He remains soft-spoken, thoughtful, and devoted to his wife and children. He doesn't chase the spotlight. Rather, the spotlight seems to find him. In a culture that often rewards noise and drama, his quiet determination has become its own kind of news. After his father's death, during the early challenges of marriage and fatherhood, Noah's focus was simple: build, plan, and move forward. He began preparing to return to Alaska, not to recreate the past, but to build something lasting for his family. Observers couldn't help but see this as the calm before a new beginning, the chapter that might ultimately define not only Noah, but the entire Brown family's legacy. By 2023, Noah Brown was no longer the eccentric young man who once entertained viewers with his unusual inventions deep in the Alaskan wilderness. He had grown into a figure whose every decision carried weight, impacting more than just his immediate household. His name appeared in the media not because of controversy, but because people were genuinely inspired by how much he had changed and matured. The transformation was quiet yet profound. The same creative energy that once fueled his odd experiments was now being used to build something real, functional, sustainable home for his wife and children. Noah was still the dreamer who sketched designs and tinkered with gadgets, but now his projects had purpose. Viewers saw him installing solar panels, designing water systems, and making off-grid living safer and more efficient. The laughter that once met his quirky ideas had turned into respect. His inventions were no longer mere curiosities. They were stepping stones toward a secure future. This transformation didn't happen in a vacuum. The family was still grieving the loss of Billy Brown in 2021, and each sibling had taken their own path to healing. While Solomon and Gabriel worked to maintain the family ranch, and Joshua faced his own personal challenges, Noah took a quieter route, focusing on consistency and leadership by example, rather than authority. In many ways, he was channeling his father's steadiness, but expressing it through compassion rather than command. Journalists began referring to Noah as the anchor of the Brown family, someone connecting the romanticized wilderness past with a more practical present. He wasn't rejecting the Wolfpack identity, nor was he confined by it. Instead, he was building a life that reflected both heritage and growth, something fans found deeply relatable. When Noah announced his intention to return to Alaska to purchase land for a new homestead, the response was immediate. Fans saw it as a symbolic full circle, a man going back to where it all began, not to imitate his father, but to reclaim the land on his own terms. His updates photos of land searches, glimpses of his projects sparked emotional reactions from longtime viewers who remembered him as a young, wide-eyed teenager. Now, as a husband and father walking those same grounds, Noah seemed to embody the passage of time itself. What fascinated many was that Noah wasn't seeking publicity, yet attention continued to find him. Every small update, from a picture of him hauling lumber to a reflection about his children, became news. In an era obsessed with noise, his calm persistence stood out. Of course, the challenges of building an off-grid home in Alaska are enormous, and financial realities soon became part of the story. Reports suggested that Noah was funding his dream through a mix of savings, show income, and personal side projects, proof that he was working hard to make his dream tangible. The process wasn't glamorous, but it struck a chord with fans who understood the beauty of steady, honest work. Meanwhile, rumors of sibling tension continued to circulate, though Noah himself stayed out of the drama. He focused on his wife and children, keeping family life private and peaceful. In a sense, he was redefining leadership, showing that peace at home mattered more than proving a point in public. This maturity helped reshape how people viewed him. Too many fans. Noah had come to represent legacy, the enduring essence of what Alaskan Bush People was meant to symbolize: strength, love, and survival through simplicity. By the year's end, Noah's story was being covered not just in entertainment media, but in lifestyle features as well. He was becoming a case study in how a person can honor their roots while embracing change. He wasn't living a perfect life, but an authentic one, and that honesty made him relatable in a world hungry for Renez. Today, when people talk about Noah Brown, the word legacy naturally follows. It's not something he chased, something that found him. Being Billy Brown's son comes with expectations, but Noah has learned to carry that weight with quiet grace. He doesn't fill his life with grand gestures or public statements. Instead, he shares simple moments: a child sleeping in his arms, a fence being mended, a dream of owning land taking shape. These small things reveal a man who measures success not in fame but in family. Fans who've watched Alaskan Bush People from the start often say, Noah best embodies what the show once stood for: a family working together to build something meaningful. Even when life got messy, he isn't without flaws. He's faced financial strain, sibling disagreements, and moments of doubt. Yet, he doesn't pretend to have all the answers. He shows that real strength lies in persistence, not perfection. Noah Brown is no longer just a television personality. He's become a quiet emblem of resilience, proof that grief can be transformed into purpose, and that honoring one's roots doesn't mean being trapped by them. His journey isn't marked by dramatic twists or reality TV cliffhangers, but by steady, heartfelt work, the slow, intentional labor of building a life. When people look back at the Brown family years from now, it won't just be the wild adventures they remember. It will be Noah's unwavering persistence and the family he built with love and care. His story reminds us that true legacy isn't always about fame or fortune. Sometimes, it's written in the quiet strength of a home that stands firm against time, as Noah continues to shape his future. His journey has come to represent far more than personal growth. It reflects the universal human story of learning, rebuilding, and redefining what truly matters. Fans who once tuned in to see him experiment with odd inventions in the wild now watch him evolve into a man who values stability, integrity, and emotional depth. It's a transformation that feels genuine, as though every struggle, every quiet triumph, and every moment of reflection has built toward this new version of himself. Noah's life today is not about surviving in the wilderness for television. It's about surviving in the real world where raising a family, managing grief, and holding on to hope are the true measures of strength. This evolution also highlights a new kind of legacy within the Brown family, one that is less about isolation and more about balance. Where Billy Brown's vision centered on living far away from society, Noah's perspective brings that dream into a modern context. He's not rejecting the wilderness, but he's also not turning his back on the benefits of progress. Instead, he's finding harmony between the two worlds, creating a version of off-grid life that feels both practical and deeply personal. Fans have often said that Noah's life embodies the bridge between the rugged traditions of his father's time and the realities of raising children in an ever-changing world. Despite being under a public scrutiny since his teenage years, Noah has managed to remain grounded. He rarely responds to rumors or online criticism, preferring instead to let his actions speak. Whether he's building a new cabin, repairing solar panels, or simply spending time with his wife and kids, Noah's steady consistency has become his defining trait. There's something profoundly relatable about his quiet approach to life. He's not performing for cameras or chasing fame, he's simply trying to make things work one day at a time. That sense of authenticity has earned him a kind of respect that no publicity campaign could ever buy. The emotional core of Noah's story lies in how he has handled loss. When Billy Brown passed away, it marked the end of an era for the family. The patriarch had been both a guiding force and a complex figure whose vision shaped the lives of his children. For Noah, that loss was deeply personal. It wasn't just the death of a father, it was the closing of a chapter that had defined his entire existence. Yet, instead of allowing grief to break him, he turned it into fuel for creation. Every nail he hammers, every fence he builds, and every small victory in his homestead project seems like an act of remembrance. Observers have noted how Noah's leadership style differs from his father's, where Billy ruled with charisma and boldness. Noah leads with quiet strength and patience. He doesn't rally people with speeches. He earns respect through persistence. This contrast has drawn admiration even from those who once underestimated him. Some longtime viewers see him as the true spiritual successor of the Brown family, not because he's the loudest or most visible, but because he's the one keeping the values of hard work, family, and faith alive in recent years. Noah's social media presence has reflected this transformation as well. His posts are simple but heartfelt photos of family dinners, updates on home projects, or glimpses of his children growing up surrounded by nature. There's no flashiness or pretense, just sincerity. Fans often comment on how refreshing it is to see a former reality star who doesn't seek validation through likes or controversy. Instead, he uses his platform to inspire people to build, create, and reconnect with what truly matters. Financially, Noah's journey hasn't been without challenges. Building an off-grid home in remote conditions requires both time and resources. Reports suggest he's taken on side projects, learned new trades, and carefully budgeted his income to make his dream a reality. This slow, methodical progress mirrors the patience that defines his entire character. He's not in a rush to achieve everything at once. Instead, he's willing to let time shape the outcome naturally. It's this perseverance that has made his story so inspiring to those who followed his path from youth to adulthood as the Brown family continues to evolve. Noah's role has become more symbolic. He represents continuity, the thread that connects the family's wild beginnings in Alaska to their uncertain but hopeful present. Each sibling has gone their own way, yet it's Noah's story that feels closest to the heart of what Alaskan Bush People once stood for: self-reliance, unity, and the courage to dream. His evolution also highlights how much the family's identity has matured. The wilderness may no longer define them entirely, but the values forged their resilience, resourcefulness, and love continue to guide them forward. Looking ahead, Noah's plans to return permanently to Alaska mark more than just a physical relocation. They symbolize a spiritual homecoming, a chance to root his growing family in the soil that shaped his earliest memories. For fans, this move feels like destiny, the completion of a story arc that began more than a decade ago. But for Noah, it's less about nostalgia and more about building something enduring. It's about creating a home that reflects both his father's teachings and his own hard-earned wisdom. Noah Brown's life today stands as a quiet reminder that legacy is not built overnight. It's not written in fame, fortune, or fleeting popularity. It's written in the slow rhythm of everyday life, in the laughter of children, the strength of family, and the courage to keep moving forward even when the road is uncertain. His story continues to unfold, not as a dramatic television episode, but as a living testament to growth, love, and purpose. And perhaps that's what keeps people watching, not the spectacle, but the sincerity. In a world overflowing with noise, Noah Brown's quiet determination speaks louder than any headline. It's the story of a man who has learned that the truest kind of wilderness is not the forest or the mountain, it's life itself. And survival there requires heart, patience, and hope.